Alright, hello again. It is day 4 of Vlogmas. My name is Pyra Draculea, and I'm cartooning and chatting and cartooning some of my original characters from my 2 comic projects. I have done a couple of these videos about characters from my webcomic Noah's Archipelago, and that being the title character Noah and his daughter Ursula so far. And I've done the title character for my other comic project, which is also a podcast and whatnot, Ricky B. the Rock and Roll Rat. So I had Ricky the other day. Now it's time for Ricky's little half-mouse buddy, Myles. And as I promised, I would talk a bit about Myles' origin. Now, some of it's the same and I already discussed in the previous video where I mentioned the Bono Mouse sketchbook of mashing up Bono and Mickey Mouse and the weird things that evolved from that, including this weird one. Let's get going. So, it's hard to tell in the viewfinder of my camcorder how much of the blue underdrawing really shows up, but if you can see, Myles' anger problems. And, nibs are going to want to cooperate, so hang on. It'll be fine for small details, but we want to get some explosive sort of anger indication out of him. As you can, I'll just sort of say, in case, because it'll be a while till I get around to lettering. So what he's saying is he's yelling, "No, I don't want to beep effing Peppermint Sprinkles Elf Latte. Do I look like a beep in Elf to you?" Because, little dude is half mouse, half rat. And of course, all the rats in this world are, humanoid. So, anyways, Myles is a whole head shorter than Ricky, and Ricky considers himself not particularly tall, just, regular sized. Ricky is 5'11", and Myles is a whole head shorter. The very tippy top of Myles' ears only come up to Ricky's chin. So, anyways, I want to say, Myles isn't always angry. You can make him very happy by giving him, taking him to the carnival and getting him a caramel apple and some cotton candy, or taking him to the arcade. He loves arcades and all that. But in his day-to-day life, he's an angry little dude. He would say with good reason. We'll see. So, the origin of Myles. I think I've mentioned that he is Ricky's girlfriend, baby's cousin. So how that kind of came about, it kind of worked, is that baby's Aunt Belinda is a bit of a wine aunt, a bit of a drunk, can't hold her liquor, and also apparently can't follow her GPS. Well, in those days there wouldn't have been a GPS. Can't read a map, I guess, because one day on one of her drinking binges, she found herself in Moston, Well, first of all, I think I mentioned before about Ratsville when I was talking about Ricky. So, the rat people live in Ratsville, and then across the canyon there's Moston. And over in Moston, that's where the mice live. So Belinda ended up over in Moston this one fine day when she was plastered. It was after, plastered being a relative term. She's a wine aunt, so, but it was St. Patrick's Day. And so on March 18th, she woke up in Moston next to a mouse dude named Larry. Larry, being a bit of a womanizer, I guess he saw a rat chick and thought, well, definitely hadn't had one of them before. He was up for a challenge. And Larry is a smooth-talking little dude. Let's just say that Myles probably has all sorts of unknown siblings in Moston that he's not aware of, because Larry got around. But anyways, so Belinda got knocked up, and they decided, if they raise the baby in Ratsville, and he's half mouse, and the rats have a tendency to want to beat the crap out of mice, and they go over to Moston to do that on Friday night for Moston Mayhem. Well, and we have a problem. That little dude is probably going to get his ass kicked a lot in Ratsville and be bullied. But, if he went and lived with his papa, with Daddy, over in Moston, well, then he would be the big bully. So he was raised by Larry, and Larry at that time was a used car salesman. At this point in the story, Larry owns many, many used car lots and has got branched out into real estate development, so he's a very, very wealthy man. And he sure as hell didn't put a ring on Belinda. So Belinda's lost. Larry's not really the marrying kind. Anyways, so Myles was raised in Moston. He went to all the best prep schools. And he followed his father into business, although not as a used car salesman. Myles instead became an accountant, and he has now moved to Ratsville because basically he figures rats are stupid on the whole. So it's kind of an opportunity knocking sort of situation. He is a good accountant, but also the fact that he figures he has no real competition in Ratsville in terms of competence. So he went over there and hangs out with Baby and her family, and Baby's dad is Miles's Uncle Kevin. And there is a story about that. And yeah, making his eyebrows a little too bushy, but it's fine. And I guess it's not entirely a shameless self-plug, but it's sort of a shameless self-plug. Just making sure that doesn't show up on the other camera. Couch and Writers Group, there is a story called Christmas in Ratsville, which is narrated by Myles. I will put the link in the description where you can get that on Amazon if you're interested. I think I mentioned in the Ricky video that I'm working on a book of the podcast scripts, short stories, so it will be in when I get that book done, but that's not going to be for minimum 6 months. So if you're looking for a relatively inexpensive, it's like $10 Canadian, fun little book, that anthology would make a great stocking stuffer. And I have the Ratsville story, and then there's 10 other stories plus a poem, and it's all of us who are members of the Couch and Writers Group who meet in Duncan. But on the off chance that anyone from Duncan is watching this immediately after I post it, we will be at a couple more Christmas fairs. There is a Facebook group if you search for Couch and Writers Group, so I think we're posting our details on there if you are interested. And that concludes the commercial. Obviously, at this exact moment in time, I don't have any books for sale or whatnot, but I am working on a Noah book and actually a couple Ricky books, and I mentioned a Myles book on the last one, which that one probably take me 2 years to get around to finishing. So eventually there will be little commercial breaks for my stuff, but in general that's not the purpose of what I'm doing here this month. So, yeah, I should put some silver things. Now, we've got a little bit of Myles showing up in the camera already. Oh yeah, well I already read out what he says is, and because he, okay, so I mentioned about him being short. So he is a little sensitive about that, especially in Ratsville. I mean, obviously in Moston, he's the hulking, big, tall, tall, dark, and handsome dude. But, in Ratsville, yeah, not so much, right? So, anyways, he is at a coffee shop. He is kind of reaching up to get himself over the counter. And obviously the barista has made the mistake of reading the sales pitch that her manager has probably told her, which is like, ask every customer if they would like the Peppermint Sprinkles Elf Latte, because that's what we're shilling this month. Well, she asked the wrong half-rat about that, because Myles took it as a comment on his height. So he's saying, no, I don't want a beeping effing Peppermint Sprinkles Elf Latte. Do I look like an effing elf to you? So, sensing that Myles has anger issues, the barista moves on to a different sales pitch and asks him if he would like the Shopper Slugger Espresso instead. The other holiday treat. I'm guessing this rat bucks must be inside a shopping mall, so they deal with enough brawls between customers to just have made a special just about that. Now, I'm just gonna put some dollars in the tip jar. Or $1. There we go. And now, when it comes to the counter, it's going to be wood, so that's, well, so far I'm doing all of this with the brush, eh? But it kind of, it's fun the way it made it into little flames around his head. Excuse me. I didn't mean to burp. Made it into little flames around his head, which kind of matches his attitude. Now we're going to use that similar floppiness and unpredictability of that brush to get something that might quasi-pass for wood grain in the counter. I'm just going to be careful when I'm doing it over by his little hands. Not so much festive in terms of the look, but in terms of what Myles is offended by, I guess. The funny thing is, I would bet you that Rat Bucks is probably part of a chain, and they probably have something called Mouse Bucks over in Moston running the exact same promotion. And over there, Myles probably wouldn't be offended if a mouse barista asked if he would like the Peppermint Sprinkle Elf Latte. He would just say, no, give me a double espresso. But, in Moston, he's kind of primed to be pissed off about the slightest potential disrespect. He's a little bit like, well, he's not old enough to quite be, Myles is 28. He's not old enough to quite be what Adam Carolla once talked about with like Hollywood execs, where it's like no one's told them to F off in 40 years. You know, no one's dared to, and then when somebody does, you know, presumably Adam, then all hell breaks loose because they're not prepared to hear it. Oops, that went into the speech bubble. Can I wipe that out? No. Nope, it's done. We got that. This one's going to go way faster, I think, than the other ones. Of course, I say that I haven't started inking yet, but let's get some of the orange. Oh, that's... I'm toning the orange ink down. This is one of the Higgins transparent dyes. Well, not dyes, pardon me, inks. I'm toning it down with some neutral gray, also by Higgins, to make it more brown. So these guys like cheese. The counter is not made out of cheese, so it does not need to be orange, but like a warm wood kind of color. And because I'm working super wet, like this probably would have been better on, I said this the other day about using watercolor paper. This is I think it's Canson XL, the recycled Bristol board. So it's not really designed for super wet media, but oops, that wasn't what I intended to do. There we go. I think you can see on the camera where it's kind of rolling up. Alright, I think that's kind of our color segment done. Other than... I'll just have Myles wearing his typical white t-shirt. I'm going to put a little bit more gray onto his suit. Normally I draw Myles wearing like a black suit, sport coat type of suit jacket, and then like a t-shirt. Rather than an actual suit and tie. So kind of business casual sort of look. That is, of course, when he's in his accountant role and not when he's in his... He also is an Elvis impersonator. But we'll get to that once I come back, and I'll just quickly show my palette. So we kept it mostly neutral, except for pink for his ears. I kept it pale. When I did Ricky's, I did them a brighter. As I mentioned, it turns out with rats and mice that their ears, they're a little bit pink, and then they get very pink when they're happy. Obviously, Myles is not happy here, so I want to keep it paler. They still look super bright comparatively to the white, because I don't have a flesh color, but it's fine. And who knows, maybe Myles is a little bit like, I don't know if you ever watched Ren and Stimpy. There's one episode where Ren can't be angry because Stimpy has made this like crazy mind control hat for him or whatever, and when he manages to finally get it off, and then he like loses his shit at Stimpy, and he's like, "You're doing duty and I'm angry," and then he suddenly goes, "Wait a minute, I like being angry." And then Stimpy's all confused because he did this because he wanted to make Ren happy, but Ren is happy being angry. Anyways, I'm going to go clean off my palette before any of this stuff dries and hardens because it's acrylic inks. And we will be back in a second for the outlining and lettering. All right. So, moving on to the line work. I swear, this is kind of like so backwards for my brain because when I do stuff on the iPad, they're on separate layers, so I always ink it before I color it. You know, but yeah, probably it would be fine, but maybe I'll experiment later in the month in Vlogmas about doing the line work first. But anyways, let's get going with that. So goes quiet, and probably most people who've made it this far in the video are like, oh yay, she shut up. I guess if the sound of pen nib on paper is soothing, then it's kind of the ASMR portion of the video, but I don't know. I must say, when I was editing the Noah and, well, not so much the Noah, because I used a brush on that, but I was editing the Ricky video the other day, and there was a lot of, like, pen scritchy scratchy. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like, I'm not hugely into the ASMR thing, but I am one of those people who gets, like, the tingles from certain kind of noises, so like it was actually working on me when I was editing, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Well, I guess that's a side bonus. I'm not gonna like put ASMR in my video description or anything because it really isn't, but you know, if that might be a side benefit for some people, in which case I guess it's I guess it would be a reason for me to shut up, eh? You know, because I guess, or either that or I would have to start talking like this. Yeah, so we're now going to be inking the lettering for Myles. But Myles isn't going to be talking like this, no, because Myles is screaming at a barista for no apparent reason other than he's a spoiled rich kid with poor anger management issues. And oops, my finger just stuck. Yeah, I couldn't actually keep that up. Probably have some, you know, well, initially probably have no comments, because there'll be a couple of my friends who probably, you know, watch it on 10 times speed or whatever and not really be listening. But eventually there'd be like somebody saying, no, I like the bit where you whisper. Just shut up and whisper. I'm like, well, I don't really have, like, a whispery voice. I sound annoying. I do, like, cartoon voices, you know. Oh, yeah. I guess I should do Miles's cartoon voice, because I do have one. You know, he's a little bit nasal. Now, I do pitch shift him down a semitone and a half. So I guess that's, like, a 3/4 tone. I do that with Ricky, and Ricky is the narrator, so then when Myles is talking, it's like Ricky was imitating Myles, except not really, because Ricky probably doesn't seem like the sort of guy who would be capable of doing good impersonations. But anyway, so Myles kind of talks like that, and he's always like a little bit hissing, because he's always mad. You get the sense, you know, when I do that voice, I kind of have to like clench my jaw a little bit. I'm not clenching my teeth, but I'm on the edge of that because that's how Myles is, because he's always so frickin' angry. Because rats are stupid. They aren't, at least not in that world. Certain rats are stupid, others aren't, but Myles, you know, he's got this superiority complex, so in his mind, rats are all very stupid. Now, do I want this outline to be... You know, for him, I just dipped my pen. But I think I'm going to switch to a different nib because we're a little more zoomed in on Myles than we were on any of the other characters. So I think I kind of want to give him a fatter outline. And I'll just take that opportunity to show. This is the nib. Focus maybe back here. I think the lights are so bright that it might not be working, but it's one of the ones that has, maybe if I hold it this sideways, I don't know if that sort of shows. But it's got a narrower tip, which is good for lettering, and we will come back to that. But I have a version of that that's a little bit thicker for the line, and maybe we'll try that for our buddy Myles. Maybe too much. Got like 10 nibs I have to kind of filter through, so bear with me, please. And I'm going to try a couple different sizes. A really fat one for his outline, and then details in his face. I may try the smaller one. Unless I touch this onto... Oh, that line is crazy fat. But I think, you know, I kind of like it. I'm going to use that definitely to kind of darken up his suit, little suit here. Not really seeing it because, of course, his arms are mostly below the counter. Well, I've got the fat one on. Let's do that on the little bell. Yeah, I think that's a good outline thickness. You know, we won't do it that. We'll use the middle nib for the inside of his face, but certainly got his little Elvis-style pompadour going. Well, Myles has blue-black hair. Or, pardon me, did I say Myles has blue? Ricky has blue-black hair. Well, Ricky wouldn't be too offended by that mistake. Myles would be offended at being mistaken for Ricky. Anyways, Ricky's hair has more of a blue-black tone. Myles is more of a natural black. So, you know, dark brown. Oh well, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. It's not what I meant to do, but I'm gonna have to watch how I prop myself up here to get the outline done. This would be the sort of thing where on a canvas you might use, I think they call it a mole stick, where you have like a stick running across and then you rest your wrist like that. I don't have one though, so... For everything else, I'm going to go to the, not the smaller one, but the one in between. It's funny, so many of these tiny little noises of like swishing the nib in the water seem to be very, very loud when I do check these videos or when I'm editing, but that's probably part of the charm. That's my excuse, I'm sticking to it. Now, I'm going to... So this is a similar kind of nib, but deciding between the one that I started with that lettering and what I was just doing. So... little Adam's apple. A little vein popped out in his neck. Another one. And his whiskers. That didn't. Getting caught up in that thicker outline of his cheek where it's not wet but not dry, and then it's wanting to drag through there. Which is good to know. In future reference, I should probably do the whiskers first. Appropriately. Yeah, look at this. Maybe I should give his... I think I will give his glasses an outline, but I think I'll do those with the skinnier nib. So we got his little... Maybe this nib is just screwed up. It seems to be dragging quite a bit. Yeah, it's kind of a little screwed up. Because the thing with these is, you know, the nibs have that split at the end, and sometimes they're just like ever so slightly splayed apart, and then you get where they like want to dig in instead of gliding over the edge of the paper. At least I think that's what ends up happening. Hey, I wonder if the, I hear an airplane going overhead. I don't know if that catches on the microphone, but if you hear an airplane, there is one. I think I'm going to, well, I'm going to let her, well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline his glasses with this nib, and then I'm going to let her, the second part of his outburst with this nib, and then go back to the skinnier nib for the reply from the barista. Excuse me, doorbell. Sorry about that. Amazon delivery. I didn't bother to open it up yet, but I think that is some awls that I ordered for like doing paper crafts. I don't want to get totally into making books because I need a new hobby, like I need a hole in the head, another hole in the head. But sometimes it's fun to make a little artist's book or make your own sketchbooks or notebooks. So, but I have one awl that's too skinny and weak, and then I have another one that's like as thick as that, and then the point is very difficult to push through. So I ordered a set of medium-sized ones, which hopefully will do the job. Anyways, that's beside the point. So back to outlining the little glasses. Yeah, then that also makes his eyelid line not look too out of place on the thickness. Should I put it? Yeah, let's give it a little sneer. There we go. Right, and then we got that. Yeah, I can definitely tell this medium nib is almost wanting to split out a little bit. Which, I mean, I think this is one of the nibs I've had for years and years and years. Maybe 25 years. So, like, it's like it probably doesn't really owe me much, if anything. Like, I don't know. When you zoom in, the top of that E has a little at the top, so. Oh yeah, and I need to do that. The insides of the tops of his ear. And I think that also makes the pink look more pale by comparison. Which it would be because he's pissed off, so he'd be tense, so he wouldn't have his little relaxed, happy pink ears. They would be kind of more pale. There. That's Miles's anger management, or rather lack thereof. And now all I have to do is letter what the barista says in reply. I think I started out going, this Vlogmas video is going to be real short. I'm sure by the time I add everything together, it's probably still going to be an hour long like the rest. That's okay. I also post reels, so if anybody's like, I just don't have the time for this, but I want to see what the drawing looks like, well, check the shorts if you're on YouTube, or check the reels on my page if you're on Facebook, because they will be posted there about 6 or 7 hours after I post the full version. Yeah. Gotta see if I can get people to actually watch. But hey, different people have different interests. Some people want to hear the long video, and some people just don't. And that is totally cool. I am the same. Depending on who. Oh yeah, we gotta give him a little bit of a snarl up there. Okay, sir. You like the all that's left to do now is sign it. Well, first put the cap back on the India ink so I don't make a huge mess by accidentally knocking this. I mean, they do shape the bottle to minimize the chance of it tipping over, but, clumsy will find a way. So, I think the only place I really can sign it is right along the countertop here. There we go. Ta-da! And now let us zoom in. First of all, let me find a zoom like that. That's fuzzy. Yeah, fuzzy, 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 clear. So, here we go. Actually, because this is off to the side, let me change the angle off. It was looking a little parallelogram distorted, but there you go. So, thank you for watching Myles have a meltdown on this Vlogmas, and tomorrow I believe, well, tomorrow's back to one of the Noah's Archipelago characters, and I believe it's Ruth. It should be Ruth. It would make sense to do Ruth next. And then we'll be back with, the day after tomorrow will be Baby, Ricky's girlfriend, Miles's cousin. So she won't be having a meltdown. You know, she's too passive-aggressive for that sort of thing. But we'll see what she's doing for Christmas prep. Probably shopping, and Ricky being dragging all the boxes and bags and whatnot. But maybe something completely different. We will find out in a couple of days. So, thanks for watching. Bye.